Okay guys, before we start the video, just quickly, First Man is so much more than just a YouTube channel. We've got digital products, we've got physical products. The digital products include courses, books, ebooks, etc. And the physical products is everything from supplements to clothing to grooming products to the paperback physical copy of our book. So the two links will be below. Go and check them out, guys. And now back to the video you came here to watch. Okay, guys, in this video we're going to be talking about how modern men should start becoming more international. And the thing is, we're the first generation of men who have the option of getting to places quickly. Okay, getting to places quickly in terms of travel. You know, a lot of us have friends in different parts of the world. It's mental. Like, it's never really happened before. In every generation in human history, unless you were like a monarch or part of the royal family, you didn't have international friends. You had your friendship group in your local area, and you just, you married a woman from your local area. You raised your kids in the local area. They went to school in the local area. You get the point, right? Restaurants, everything. You usually supported the team, whatever the sports team was, from your local area. Whereas now the world's gone super international, and I think more men need to embrace this. More men need to start creating super high level life setup by tapping into this new, international way of life. I'll explain in this video. I think it's going to be the future. So number one, and probably the most obvious, is weather. I quite like winter. I quite like it, but I get tired of it. Like, I'm semi-tired of it now. The weather at the moment is like 10 degrees and sunny in the UK. It's really nice. It's refreshing. It's not boiling, but it's nice. You can go outside without a coat on. You could plausibly walk around in a t-shirt in the middle of the day, just for a little while. Do you know what I mean? Just pop into the shop and whatever. It's been so refreshing. It feels nice to not be permanently shivering, or your face is just ice cold. Like, it's nice to be able to go for a walk and not be shivering. Well, if you want warm weather 12 months of the year, you can do that now. You can have two different places. You could be in the UK in our summer, and then in Australia for their summer. You could be in Dubai for 6 months, get no tax, come back to the UK for 3 months, and then for another 3 months you could go Barcelona, Paris, Berlin. You could bounce between all these different cities. Like, it's almost like becoming nomadic. Like, almost like a gypsy lifestyle. I don't have, like, where do you live? Oh, I live in multiple places. I think more people are going to start embracing that in the future. And we'll get to these points in a minute. The next one is the biggest events. So let's say it's Oktoberfest and you want to be there. Having the ability to go to these different places. Having the ability to be like, it's Paris Fashion Week. I want to be there. Let's go. Okay, like anything big that's happening in another country, having the ability to actually go to these events. I've always found it strange, like, you look at America and the sheer scale of America, and people are willing to drive like 3-4 hours to get to a place. In the UK, you can take a flight 4 hours and it will take you to Italy, Greece, those sort of areas. Yet on like a Friday or Saturday night, we wouldn't just take a weekend there. We wouldn't take a weekend to like Amsterdam or Paris. Okay, it's not standardized practice. Is it cheap to do? You can find ways to make it cheaper, but it's not a standardized practice. To just go, hey, jump on the Eurostar, to just jump on a flight. You can get them out of season for like 50 quid. We'll go to Paris for the weekend and we'll just come back. It's much cheaper than just getting drunk. Okay? But it's not something that we really do. A lot of people have their country, they stay in their country, they stay in the local area of their country, they keep going to the local pubs and bars and whatever. You need to become a Mr. International, Pitbull style. It needs to happen. Mobile workspace. I think this is huge too. Nobody wants to be in one place all the time. Like this, I'm in my office right now. I clear out a lot of this stuff when it takes me like 20-30 seconds to put the lighting away, put them in different spots. I've got foam set up. I just slide them to the side. I pull this chair that I'm sat on now in front of my desk and I work from here. Sometimes I get bored. Sometimes I grab my notepads and I go into my living room. I sit on my patio. I light my fire table up and I sit out there and I make notes and I might have a morning coffee with the fire table going. It's nice to mix up environments. Sometimes I go to a cafe and whatnot. That needs to expand in the future. You know, if you've got the money, having offices in multiple places, multiple countries, it's refreshing. If you can live the laptop lifestyle, you know, really changing up your location and saying, fuck it, I'm just going to go somewhere completely different today and I'm going to work from there. Like, that needs to take place more, because just sat in one place is boring. Like, we've got this whole world available to us. Grab the laptop, go to a cafe, get out there, go to a communal workspace, just be around people. You know, I just think this is huge now. Like I said, mobile workspace could be multiple countries. I think that's a weapon. The next one is women from all over the world. And this probably deserves its own separate video. I've been looking into this quite a lot. I think I've always thought this, and this isn't necessarily a negative, it's just society and cultural standards, but I've always thought women from the US, from the UK, whatever, that I think their standards are way too high for what they can offer in return. Okay? You see some videos sometimes of like a tall, moderately handsome guy walking around like Colombia, and it's just look after look after look. Women are just on this guy, they're thirsty for it, because they know that they're like, wow, that's a rare guy. Okay, whereas in the UK, it's like, this guy needs to be 6'2", needs to be handsome, needs to be in shape, needs to be making at least 6 figures a year. My red flags are, it's like, lady, it's way too much. You're not offering enough in return to justify what you're asking for. You've got to have some bargaining power. And I've thought for a while that, you know, women in the West, in the kind of the Western world, are a little bit too demanding. Is it their fault? No, it's probably culture's fault. You know, you're watching things like Sex and the City when you're growing up, you're going to want the highest level stuff. But then you look at certain countries, like Colombia, for example, you'll get 50-year-old men that are married to 28-year-old women who are so beautiful that they would never attract something like that in the UK, the US, or whatever. And I also think it's stifling you if you only date women from your local area, if you only date women from your country. I think you don't quite know what you want personality-wise, or, you know, these women could be slightly more submissive. They could be slightly more assertive. These women, you know, are slightly sexier. They always make an effort. Like, my dad said this. My dad moved to Barcelona, and he was dating a lot of Spanish women and, you know, Latinas. And he said the difference is they won't even go to the shop without dressing up, putting makeup on, looking as good as possible. And he was like, do you know, it's kind of refreshing. He was like, I liked it. He was like, I don't demand it. I'm not a pig. But he was like, it's quite nice that they always make an effort. They always look good. He said, it's nice to see in your woman. He was like, and they take care of you at night. He was like, they'll give you a massage. They'll groom you. They'll be like, oh, let me just help you out with this. Let me do this for you. Oh, can I shave? You know, can I shave you today? And it's stuff like that. And, you know, he said he liked that. He liked that kind of like pampering, like his woman was all about him. And these women were beautiful that he was with as well. Like half his age and beautiful. And I think that's what a lot of men need to do. You don't know what your type is until you've dated women from all around the world. You might really be into Russian women. You just don't know it yet. They might be the perfect type for you. And I think it's worth dating women from all around the world. Having women in different countries that when you land, you can call upon. Hey, I've just landed in, you know, I'm in Paris tonight. Do you want to meet? You know, which takes me on to my next point, which will be languages. Learning multiple languages. It's essential. You know, if you want to become Mr. International, you want to fly around the world, you want to have different women, you want to have, you know, businesses set up in different parts of the world, you need to learn language. So once you've done once you've ticked the financial boxes of your life, your body, you know, the things that are massively important, I think languages are becoming essential now. Having the ability to go, I'm going to go to Spain tomorrow. I'm just going to fly over there. Okay, you can go on a night out. You can bump into an absolute stunning woman. You can start having a conversation with her. You can start talking to some, you know, Spanish guys that are out that are like, oh, what gym do you go to? Well, that gym's not good. There's a better one. You're like, oh, thanks, guys. I wouldn't have known that otherwise. Like, just having that ability to just make another place your home, like you would in your hometown or home city or your home country. You know, having that Like nothing's restricting you because you understand the language. You get it. I think that's essential. The next one is multiple setups depending on the situation. So stuff like beach house, winter getaway, and like a city centre apartment or something like that. Perhaps one on each continent. Now I get that that's super expensive, but I think scenario-based life setup is the next stage of life setup. So I've always said to you guys, like having a nice place, having a nice car. Well, you don't always want the same thing. There's different things for different scenarios. Some days I want to sit in like a G-Wagon, a blacked out Range Rover, and I want to drive around with aggressive music, and I just feel like, going on a late night drive in the middle of a city. I'm vibing off that. Other days I'm like, get me some fresh fruit. I want to sit on a beach. I want to relax. I want to focus on nothing, but I want to read some books. You have different scenarios. Having this more international life setup, I think, is going to get you there. I think a lot more guys need to start thinking about this, okay? You might have your penthouse apartment in the city. Then you've got your cottage getaway in the countryside. Then you've got your beach house. And the thing is, guys, right? I know it's all expensive, but things like... There's certain countries where you can get stuff for cheap. I've shown you guys before balling on a budget. I showed you guys before Montenegro, how you can have an unbelievable place, your own boat. You can have that all set up. And it was like 250,000. 250,000 or 300,000. 300,000 in London gets you like a poxy one-bedroom apartment that looks like shit with trains running by. It's just stress. So it's like you can actually have all these different things if you just become a little bit more international. If you were to buy a property, I imagine in, the city centre of somewhere like Oslo, compared to London, it's probably going to be half the price, which means then you've got money spare to go and get your beach house or whatever. Like, you just have to be smart in terms of life setup. Like, what is going to be most beneficial? What is going to give you the most options? Like when COVID happened, where can you go? Okay, well, I've got a house in that country. I've got a house in Dubai. They've not closed that down. I'm going to go out there. I think this is essential now, moving forward in the modern world. I think the whole globe is yours. I don't think you have one single residence. I don't think you should be stuck at a desk in your hometown and this is your little commute and you walk for 10 minutes, you get to the door, morning. It's the same every single day. I think that's how you see 20 years just evaporate in front of you. I think the modern high-value man moving forward is going to wake up in the morning and be like, I'm going to go and fly to Stockholm. I've got a straight 9 out of 10 that I haven't seen in a while. She always loves to see me. I've got a property over there. I'm just going to go and see her. I fancy a break. I want something a little bit quieter. London is driving me nuts. Okay, you do a little bit of that and then you're like, do you know what? That cold weather was killing me. I've got a house in Greece, nothing crazy expensive, but it's on the beach, it's warm weather. I just want to get away. There's a woman in Greece, or a woman that lives in London who's Greek, who does fucking OnlyFans, so she's her own boss. I want to ask her if she wants to come with me, just for enjoyment purposes. Do you want to come with me? Go back to the home, go back to the motherland. I've got a property there. I'll pay for the flights. Why not? Yeah, sure, I'll come with you. I work from my laptop. You can do your content, whatever. Like that. I think that's going to be the way of the world soon, especially as transport gets better with like hyperloops and everything. And I think it's time to start setting up for that. Come back to my house. Which one? Which car are we taking? Like I know it's all expensive, guys. I get that. I'm just saying, you have to start striving for this shit. And if you're smart with your money, would you rather? I'll give you a scenario here. Would you rather a £1 million flat in London, okay, with... I want to keep this realistic. Okay, let's just say a £1 million house in London, right? Which a lot of people say, oh, that's not realistic. By the time you get to like 40 years old, you could have got that. You could have saved for that. Like the average house price in London is probably around 700,000 now. So $1 million is, you're doing probably just slightly above average in terms of London and the London wages. So yeah, it is feasible that you could get something like that, okay? So would you rather that house is worth $1 million? Or would you rather 4 houses that are all worth $250,000? And one's in Greece, one in Montenegro on the Dalmatian coast, easy trip to Italy. You know, if you've got your own boat there, let's take 50k out of that as well. So, you know, the next property is only going to be 200,000, but you can get a place around here where I live, you know, in the Cotswolds, for probably that amount, and it would still be really, really nice. And it's, you know, tucked away, a nice little getaway. It's just somewhere you can go to keep things quiet. And then the remaining 200,000, let's say you keep it in the bank and you use that for travel. So New York, London, these places, you might be like, damn, they're a little bit expensive for me. But I've got 200,000 in the bank, so I get to visit whenever I want. So number one, you're getting a ton more holidays. Number two, you've got a property in the UK, in the Cotswolds, one of the most beautiful sought after places in the world. You've got a property in Montenegro, and you've got a property in Greece for the same money as having one single property in London. Okay, and you've got 200,000 in the bank. You've got your own business compared to just going to your singular work location every single day. And you're just traveling. You're just bouncing from property to property. You're enjoying yourself. You're going, hey, I fancy a trip there. I fancy a trip to this place. I'm going to go and do a month in Greece. I'm going to go and do a month in Montenegro at my other place. How much of a better life is that for the same money? This is why you need to become a Mr. International moving forwards. Okay? I'm tempted to use Pitbull as the fucking thumbnail. That was my dad's nickname, Pitbull. That's what we used to call him. That was because he was, well, to be honest, he was a Mr. International, but he was an aggressive bold guy. So he's more like a Pitbull dog. The next one is networks all around the world. This is the final one, actually. Networks all around the world. And this comes from like a business situation. It helps if you have contacts. Let's say you want to move to Dubai and you want to set up your business out there, open a bank account, and you've got somebody who takes care of all of that. He's a high-ranking individual that's just like, yeah, I've got you. I know how that works. Yeah, you can just literally pick up the phone and be like, hey, buddy, can you just set me up with this? I feel like getting out, setting up there. Yeah, sure, I can do that for you. Okay, you've got somebody that can get you a visa for Canada, America, whatever it might be. You need to go out there and do some filming. You need to do something. You need to be there for 6 months plus. You're like, can you sort me out? Yeah, I can set this up for you now. Give me a week. You have these sort of people. You have these sort of contacts. And setting up your network is massive. In your local areas, you know all of the bouncers of all the nightclubs, pubs, bars, whatever. They all shake your hand. Yeah, come on in, buddy. You know, that sort of thing. Or like, there's a bit of trouble. They can help you out. They're like, no, I know this guy. You can leave. You can stay. You know, they're going to keep you there. Just having these like networks, local area, around the world, having these contacts, you know, people you can call upon. You fly to Milan tomorrow. You've got friends in Milan and you speak Italian. And you're like, hey guys, I'm going to be in the area. Do you lot want to meet up? Do you want to hang out? I'm going to be there tonight. Rather than just fly into a city and be like, okay, what do I do now? Like, you know people. You know what's going on in that place. I think that's essential. That's one thing this business has given me. Wherever I go, somebody's always like, I watch your content. I've seen your videos. No matter what like town, city you go to, whatever country you go to, somebody has always seen your content. If you put out, I'm going to be in this place today, people are like, oh, you should go and visit. So, like, you've got people that can help you out. It's massively essential. You know, and that's in a business sense. That's huge. People that can help you out, you know, getting past certain regulations. You know, they can pass certain things for you. Like, that's what you can do when you become a Mr. International. You know, in any country, it's like, I've got a guy. I've got a guy that can help me with that. You need to start building up these connections and contacts. You need to be smart about it. You need to understand who's in certain positions. Okay, and you get to this country and you've got a beautiful woman waiting for you. It's just like, I think, it's almost like a James Bond's lifestyle. You need to have like these safe houses around the world. You need to have all these contacts. You need to have women from all around the world that you can call upon. You could have dated American women all your life. And you think you know your type. You then go and date a woman from the Caribbean and you're like, God damn, why have I not been doing this? She's just so down to earth. She's relaxed. She does everything that I've been wanting the American women to do, but she does it naturally because it's part of her culture. You don't know what your thing is. You need to become more international to figure that out. You might go and date a woman in Brazil and be like, fuck, I'm in love with this woman. I'm also in love with that woman. I'm in love with that woman. Why are they all like this? This is mental. This is what I've been asking for 20 years. And now I've met all these women and they're doing it without me asking. It's just whatever suits you, but you've got to become more international to figure that out. to find that out. And it makes you a lot more agile. You can respond, you can move, you can change location. You can set certain things up. You've got connections in another place. Boom, make it happen. You know, I want to film for the streaming platform in this country. I know a guy. Can I stay at your property? Yeah, sure. Come over with the crew, whatever. We're only going to be there like 3 days. We'll get it filmed and then we'll shoot off. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Like, what areas should I go to? What areas shouldn't I go to? Stay away from there. It's dangerous. Thank you. You know, I know a guy. He can show you around. He runs like a local security firm around here. I'll set you up with those guys. They're trustworthy. They're friends of mine. They'll look after you. Like, you just, stuff like that is massive in this era. You know, and the final point, the Tate's point, but it came from originally, it was nomad capitalist, having the multiple passports. You know, that's massive too, so that you can just do it seamlessly. You know, why do you think every billionaire buys a private jet? Every single one. Every time they get to that certain level of wealth, they get a private jet because they just want to be bang, bang, next location. And it becomes like, you know, if I want to go to London, it takes me about 2 hours, 3 hours by car. By plane, 2-3 hours, I could be in Spain effortlessly in 2 hours. 2.5 hours, I could be in Barcelona. With private jet, probably 2. Okay? There's airfields really close to here. That then makes Spain, Barcelona, places like that, that makes that as accessible to me as London would be. So suddenly, instead of, and if I know the language and I've got contacts there, you know, and I can, and you've got the ability to just go straight across. Doesn't matter. You're not going to be like held or whatever. You can go straight through. You've got money to book any hotel. Maybe you've got an apartment there. It's fucking seamless. So then suddenly, instead of just I live in the UK, it's like I live in the UK, but Barcelona is technically like a city of the UK to me now. I can get there with ease in 2 hours. I've got a property there, like nothing's a problem. Like I've got a maid, a cleaner, whatever it is. I've got a personal assistant out there, and every time I fly out, I just say, hey, can you go and fill the fridge and the cupboards and whatever with food? Like we'll be there in 2 hours. You just go and do a bunch of shopping, stock the cupboards. You know, does the house look fine? Yeah, it's great. Like everything's clean. Okay, we're going to be there in like 2 hours. That is enormous. And like I said, it doesn't actually cost much more than, you know, what people are doing in their current location. And the way you got to look at it, right, is the way that people have lived for forever, basically, is they've put all their chips in the singular basket. It's like, here's my wife and my kids. I'm going to have them young. I'm going to put all my money into one property. I'm going to base my entire life in this one area. I'm going to have this one gym that I go to, my office that I go to, my one car that I use. My whole life is here. This is my sports team, and they basically become a tree in the community. They never leave. They grow. They put their roots in there, and they never leave. And then when they leave, when they die, their kids do the fucking same thing on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. For the next generation, that doesn't need to happen. Instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, like £1 million into one property, and making that your family home, well, times are different now. Like, we can be 40 years old, meet a beautiful 28-year-old Russian woman, settle down and have kids. Meet a beautiful, you know, you could be 44 and you could bump into a 32-year-old beautiful Italian woman. Still looks stunning. She's a professional, like, high-level lawyer, something like that. You bump into her, you speak Italian, you start building a life with her off the back of it. But the point I'm making there is you will have a lot more money if you don't do the whole, oh, at 21, I met a woman, I settled down, I had kids, I put all my money into the, like, that fucks people. Whereas if you start using that money to build an amazing international life setup, you'd be surprised at how much more shit you could have. Okay, instead of £1 million into this one property, my whole life is going to be built around this whole community. Diversify that income. Have all the toys, have all the cool shit. Okay, instead of going out to the local pub every weekend and getting drunk and whatnot, use that money for flights. You save that money up and go and buy a property. You know, go and buy a property somewhere in another country where it's not as expensive, but it's a beautiful area. Like, do you know how much power that gives you guys? Where you're like, I own 6 properties around the world. I can fly to any of these locations anytime I want. How the hell do you own 5 properties? Well, they're the exact same price as it would cost me to have one in London. Like this property, if I were to buy this property, I would assume, based on other prices, it would be just south of £300,000. With the work I've put into, I probably put like 15, 20 grand into this place since I've been here. I do think about buying it. There's another place down there that I quite like too, but I think about buying it because I think what a nice place to be able to return to whenever I feel like it. What a nice little base. Okay, instead of going and buying like a property in London for like 5 million, I've got this place. Okay, I go and get one in Greece. I go and get one in Latvia. I go and get one in Barcelona. I managed to go and get a property in America or something like that. I know there's certain regulations that makes it a little bit more difficult, but you can get around it. And see, I get one in Toronto because I used to live there for 2 years. I know the city like the back of my hand. It's almost like a home from home for me. Okay, I've got the option of going there whenever I want. Okay, you get rich enough where, you know, first class flights are nothing. So you want to fly to Toronto and it's like 8 hours of sleep on the plane. You know, like I'm staying away from private jet because I think that's crazy money and it's not plausible for most people watching this. But you get to the point where, you know, you fly economy, most places in Europe because it's easy to get to, but you want to go to Toronto or America. Yeah, like eight to 10 hour flight. Okay, well, I'm flying first class. It's going to cost me £600, but I can have a sleep all the way there. But reason being, I already own a property there. I don't have to pay for accommodation, so I'm saving there, but the flight's going to cost me more. But then it makes it more appealing to actually go and take that flight. Because you're like, well, I'm going to be stretched out, let down. It's not going to be an awkward, uncomfortable one. It's going to be quite a pleasant flight. It's just like half a day's traveling. Do you see what I mean, guys? There's so many options that you can have now if you start diversifying that wealth. It's the days of, I got married at 21. I'm trying to put the old Gloucestershire accent on as well, but I'm reluctant. It sounds disgusting. But when it's like, I got married at 21. She was the love of my life. You know, we had kids, 22, 24, you know, we had our 2 kids, we were settled. We decided to buy our first home. We've been here 25 years. The kids are all grown up now. They've moved on. They've gone to other places and we're still here and everyone in the community loves us. And we've been going to this place for the 25 years to the local pub. It's our favorite place. We love it here. The people are great. That's gone. That shit has to fade away. It has to be, there's a rooftop bar in Dubai that I love. We can be there in 6 hours. Let's set off now. Saturday, 1 p.m. Well, there's time difference, obviously. But like, you wake up in the morning, you like 8 a.m. and you're like, let's go. I want to be there for tonight. There's a rooftop bar that I love. Who wants to see it? Like that sort of stuff needs to happen. That is plausible for us in the modern era. If you change the way you're spending now. It's plausible that you can have women all around the world that you kind of date regularly. That you can see, you can go and spend a month with your Greek girl and then be like, I got to go back to normal business. I'll see you soon. It's plausible. You can have that kind of setup now. That Mr. International life. Yeah, I think that's the future of high-level men. I think that they'll have options all around the world and the whole globe will be accessible to them. I think a lot more guys need to start preparing for that, number one. Need to stop putting like their entire net worth and their entire earnings into one base camp and need to go, okay, wouldn't it be better if I had 5 properties rather than 1? All on different continents, all in different places that I love. So I can have that type of life set up. I've got my beach house. I've got my city centre penthouse in Amsterdam that didn't cost me even that much. It's crazy. Like I can go there anytime I want. I've got, you know, when you're not in these properties, you can even rent them out. You can Airbnb them, whatever it might be. It's almost like a business that's paying you when you're not there, but then you keep them free for when you want to go. Like there's plausibility there. But, you know, then you go, okay, I want to go to the beach. I've got a property in Barcelona. Let's go. You wake up 2 weeks later and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of bored of this now. Christmas is coming up. Let me go back to my home in the Cotswolds in the UK, or, you know, I want to take a trip down to London for the day. I want to see all the lights and the Christmas stuff and the Christmas markets, the cold weather. I feel like I just want a bit of that now. You have the option to do all of that in this era. You just have to be smart with your money. Like I said, £1 million property in London. I tell you what, let's blow this up a bit. Let's say a £3 million house in London. You would feel like a baller. You'd be like, I fucking made it. Okay, and you'd have a pretty good life. What if you took that 3 million and you went, I'm going to go and buy, let's say, 5 properties for 600,000 each? How cool would your life be then? You know, or let's say 500,000 each, 5 properties, and that leaves you with 500,000 for cars and furniture, and nice stuff like me having the 2 sofas and the fire table outside on my patio, and having stuff like that, features when you get to these places. For on your beachfront property in Montenegro that leads out into the Bay of Kotor, you have a boat. And you're like, I could take that boat over to Italy whenever I want. I can go straight down to Croatia whenever I want. I can take day trips to Dubrovnik. That shit is fucking amazing. That's life. Not, I've got this one base camp. It's me, the missus, and the kids. And I've got to commute to work every day. I go on the train. It's 4 stops. I know that. I come home. We have our dinner. We sit down. We watch The Chase. It's a TV show in the UK, for those of you who don't know. It's like a game show. If that's your life, rethink it. And for you young guys, never set up like that. It's so fucking boring. You want multiple options all over the world. That's what life's about. Life's about enjoying yourself, being nomadic, being free, having options, being able to pick and choose whenever you feel like it. That's my message today. It's almost balling on a budget part 1,000,000 or times 1,000,000. But that's the way I've been thinking lately. That's the way I've been thinking of just having all these options. I don't know what I've just done on my phone. Having all these options all over the world that you can just tap into whenever you feel like it. Multiple venues. There's an event going on. Do you want to go? I've actually got a property in that city. Let's go. There's a big fight in Abu Dhabi. The UFC are going to be there. The F1 is going to be in Abu Dhabi. Well, I've actually got a property in Dubai. I've got, my business is registered out there. We can just, fly straight over. I've got contacts, got people we can stay with. I know that house is empty because he's not currently there. I'll ask him if we can stay there for the night. And then we'll make the short journey over. I know this place well. It's just having options like that. Otherwise, you've got to just pay so much money if you don't have the scenarios in place. Okay? You don't always want the same thing. So what I love about the UK is there's 4 seasons. We have autumn, winter, spring, and summer. It does mix it up a little bit. It's quite nice. But sometimes in winter, I want it to be summer. And sometimes in summer when I'm baking, I would love it to be winter, to be sat there with a nice warm tea. Having places that you can bounce to is essential. Knowing multiple languages, so nothing's a problem. Knowing people in these places. Dating multiple women from around the world, so you truly know what you like. When people say, I love whatever women. You've only ever been on holiday to that place once. You don't know until you've embraced the culture. You've not travelled all the way around the world. You don't actually know what you like yet. And I'm not talking about just looks. People be like, I love Swedish women, blonde hair, blue eyes. You don't know if you live with them if they've got habits and traits that you don't like. Their culture's slightly different to yours, and you're like, this is fucking annoying me. You might like more submissive women from certain areas of the world that go, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll look after you. Do you know what I mean? You can pay for everything, whatever. You might be fed up of feminism in the US and you're like, do you know what? I want a submissive woman from Bolivia or something like that, right? You want to just mix it up a little bit. That's the future. That is what we should all be striving for as men. The global life setup to become true Mr. Internationals. That's the future, I'm telling you.